What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNVDriversedition, and today we're about to dive into the conversation you all wanted to have. I got multiple reach outs asking me what about the ZR1 market and all these cars that are actually listed for sale. And I think we should dive into this conversation. So let's get it. Okay, for those who don't know me, my name is Sho. This is ICNVDriversedition. We're an interactive car community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up, just like this one, is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. So the reason we're here is because there are so many C8 ZR1s. I'm not even going to say so many, but there are enough C8 ZR1s on the marketplace to make, or should I say, spark interest. And the question was asked, what's going on with the C8 ZR1 market? Because many of you were actually trying to say or hint at that maybe I was wrong. And I say that to you like this. GM said the C8 ZR1 will be built as many people want to buy one versus having them sit on dealer lots for no reason that can't sell. At this point, we're seeing several cars listed in dealership inventory, which now sparks the question, was I wrong? But then I'll take a step back with you and say this. We've seen so many videos come out of people taking delivery from dealerships, from salesmen posting to Rick Conti to YouTubers and so forth, posting their deliveries of the new C8 ZR1, the 2025 C8 ZR1. And with all this taking place, what we're starting to realize is a lot of these cars that have been delivered have actually been customer assigned, or should I say, purchased orders. Now, there are sitting out there somewhere around 13 cars that are on the internet for sale, with one being a used vehicle. And I think that's an interesting conversation on its own piece, so we'll dive into that a little bit later. But there are about 13 C8 ZR1s, 2025 C8 ZR1s that are on the marketplace that are dealership inventory. And why is this important? Like I told you before, if you go back and look at one of my older videos about the C8 ZR1 and what GM actually came out and said, there was supposed to be somewhere of a balance, meaning that 70 to 80% of the cars that are going to be built are supposed to be pre-assigned purchase orders. The goal was for them not to put a bunch of C8 ZR1s on the marketplace and just have them sitting on dealer inventories, which means they ultimately have to be discounted to sell. Well, at this point in time, we're seeing about 13 cars out there listed for sale, which 2 have actually sold that I know of. So the real thing is getting a C8 ZR1, just like I stated before, isn't going to be as hard as many people actually thought it was going to be. The question is just how much are you willing to spend? And I say that because when I was reaching out to dealers to actually see about allocations and what they were charging and so forth, yada, 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 we come to realize, as you've already seen, the most common dealer markups I found were 25,000 up to 100 grand, with most of them being somewhere between 50 and 100 grand for the markup over MSRP. But then there were a sprinkle, and I say a sprinkle, of dealerships that were charging ridiculous markups, making their cars like 300,000 over MSRP or bumping up to $500,000 cars. And we've seen 2 thus far on the marketplace for close to 500 grand. Now, the problem with those cars is, one is a dealership in California and we knew it was coming. Will they sell that car at $500,000 over MSRP? And my answer to you is no. But I do believe they will find a way to get somewhere in the mid 300,000s for the car. Now, what's interesting about this is the other car that's up there in the marketplace that's listed for $450,000 is actually VIN number 44. And that's interesting to me because when we had the conversation before the C8 ZR1 was ever in production for the public, I constantly told people that, hey, this whole keep it for a year thing, the factory warranty being void, that's not going to stop a flipper from flipping a car. And I say that again, it was not going to stop a flipper from flipping a car, because at the end of the day, the type of money you can make from flipping this car, if you're into it for the money, you can't avoid it. So thinking that a warranty is going to matter to a person that's not going to own the car, you have another thing coming. And then on the flip side, I know many are going to say, well, why would I want a car without a warranty? Well, here's a conversation piece that we're probably going to have in another video. But the C8 ZR1, based off information that was actually said by the North American president for GM, there is so much power left on the table. And I know there's companies already working to find other ways to get more power out the C8 ZR1, like Paragon Performance. And they're not the only one. That once you start modifying the car anyway, if your intent is to modify the car to get more horsepower out of it anyway, then the fact that the warranty is voided does not matter, because the minute you modify it, you're going to pretty much void the warranty depending on what modifications that you do. And a lot of people who are in that price range, meaning like who buy Lambos for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and they go out and put tuning systems and turbos and things like that on the car to boost the performance, they void the warranty on the Lamborghini Huracan. So if they can void the warranty on the Lamborghini Huracan and not be concerned about coming out of pocket to pay for repairs, what makes you think that the cost of repairing a C8 ZR1 is going to make them flinch? And that's the thing that most Corvette owners don't think about, because we look at the C8 ZR1, we look at the Corvette platform as we're buying it for the reliability and for the performance that was already created by the factory. So if your purchase reason is based off reliability and the performance that was created by the factory, then you look at things differently. But when your purchase reason is only about taking the performance to the next level that the factory chose to step back from so they could warranty the car, then you don't look at it the same. And that's one of the issues, or one of the concerns, that many Corvette owners don't seem to embrace or understand. But what I will sit there and say to you is that getting your hands on the C8 ZR1 isn't as hard as you think it is. Go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're chasing the movement. Be part of it. Join the channel, especially if you like the content you've seen so far. We have more stuff like this coming your way, and you too can help guide the focus of the content that comes your way. So subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. So if you actually look on the marketplace now, which is kind of funny because there are actually a couple dealers that actually have C8 ZR1s in stock that were actually selling them for MSRP. I believe there was actually 2 dealers I stumbled across that actually have cars on their floor that they was actually selling their MSRP, which is kind of funny because you had cars that were being asked for $25,000 over and $50,000 over that sold before the cars that actually were being asked MSRP. Now, I don't know why, but I think the realization of it is most people didn't actually believe that the car was being sold or offered at MSRP. And that's, to me, could be the only reason why you ditched around it, or maybe that's when you reached out to the dealership, they've had a deposit on the car, somebody's already showed interest, and you just missed that window. I truthfully can't answer to you why, but I do know that, as crazy as it sounds, there were 2 cars that were selling at MSRP that were dealer inventory that I actually witnessed cars being asked for over MSRP sell first. I know, crazy. Now, at this point, what are we seeing for over MSRP payments? Well, if you look out there now, there are multiple C8 ZR1s, regardless of their MSRP, meaning one that costs $209, one that costs $219, one, the most expensive one I've seen so far is $227,000, all being asked for $300,000 plus tax, title, and license. Whatever that cost was to get that car to $300,000, $299,989 for sale, that was the cost of the ADM added to the car, or the amount of ADM added to the car. So I know right now, I can be honest with you, this C8 ZR1 market is kind of crazy. And I will say this to you. I had a friend that actually set out to get his hands on the C8 ZR1. He reached out to a dealership. They were supposed to be charging him like 15 grand over MSRP. Somewhere in the midst of the process, he got bumped. And I think it's crazy because they said he didn't keep his C8 Z06 long enough to be considered to buy a C8 ZR1. And like I expressed to him, well, I don't think it's going to be an issue getting a C8 ZR1 if you really want the car. You may have to spend a little bit more than the location you had supposedly secured your purchase from. But that's up to you how you want to spend your money. And at this point, I think he is exploring other options, but I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, because at the end of the day, the C8 ZR1, he isn't restricted from buying it, which was what I did not understand. They just wouldn't let him get a 2025 model. So he's restricted from buying one of the first cars to come out. And that makes me shake my head, because are we really being that focused or that petty when it comes to buying C8 ZR1s? But then on the reverse side, and I say the reverse side, because like I mentioned to you earlier, someone flipped VIN 44. And the beautiful part about this is VIN 44 was flipped within, I want to say, less than a week of purchase. And I know some of you are going to sit there and say, well, how does a flipper get their hands on a car? And the truth of the matter is, like I stated back with the C8 Z06, when you have dealerships who want to sell the vehicle for 25 or 50 grand over MSRP, and they're not taking customer pre-assigned orders, GM cannot restrict the purchase of the vehicle from a known flipper. So if this person was a known flipper, just like there are C8 ZR1s on the marketplace right now, and I want you to understand this, there are C8 ZR1s on the marketplace right now with a $25,000 markup that you can go buy. And then VIN 44 is being listed for $450,000. I'm going to repeat that again, $450,000. I reached out to that location because I was like, look, I know you can't be serious, but what can I do to get my hands on this car? Would you take somewhere around $350,000, $370,000? And to be honest with you, nowhere in the world I was going to pay that type of money for the car. But at this point in time, $350,000 they will not take, but $370,000 starts a conversation. But they are truly trying to get close to 400 grand for this car, if not more. And let that sink in. So whatever they paid to get their hands on this car, which I do not believe was $350,000, but whoever bought the car, I'm almost certain they probably got at least $300,000 for the car. So if you go out and buy the $209,000 C8 ZR1 with a $25,000 markup off the dealer floor, you can possibly still flip this car for 300 grand. You can possibly still flip this car at this point in time for at least 280. So the question now becomes, do you believe buying a car for $240,000 and then taking it and flipping it for 280 is worth it? See, the funny part about that is people that don't flip cars instantly want to say, why would I flip a car for 15 grand? It's a waste of time. Why did I flip a car for 25,000? It's a waste of time. And I have to shake my head at you like, are we being serious right now? That you buying a car, you purchasing anything today and then turning around and flipping it for 10 grand, in my opinion, is worth it. If you buy something today and turn around and flip it for 30 or 40 grand in less than a week, in less than 2 days, in less than 24 hours, you think that's not worth the purchase? You have to be crazy. And this is why I feel like more people will buy these cars with these, as I say, reasonable markups for the time being. But again, this window to me is going to close fast. But then again, it may not. And I'll explain to you why. I've always sat there and said that GM accepted like 300 orders, a little bit over 300 orders for the 2025 C8 ZR1. Well, since that point in time, that information I've shared on multiple videos has been reduced to just over 100. I believe like 117 cars are actually supposed to be produced. So what does that actually make happen? That means the C8 ZR1 with colors that are no longer going to be offered, these cars are going to become rare and collectibles. It may not be something that you instantaneously see the market go up on immediately, but I say within 5 years, definitely 10, The 2025 C8 ZR1 are going to be collectible cars, meaning that these cars are going to slowly start to ascend in value and be the cars 20 years from now, 30 years from now, that are hard to find. Just like the old school split window Corvette, those cars sell for ridiculous prices. Those are going to be your 2025 C8 ZR1s. Because there's going to be just over 100 cars made, even if that number still remains at the 300 mark, these cars were always going to be hard to get and were going to be collectibles. But now that window has gotten smaller, these cars selling with the 20 and 30 and 50 grand over MSRP markups, in my opinion, it may not always be as high as the money you can get for the car before August 25th, 2025. But what I will sit there and say to you is that even with these small markups of $25,000 and $50,000, you will be able to make a profit on this car after 5 years just because of what it is. And that's something for people to think about. So as we start to see all these C8 ZR1s hit the marketplace and the frenzy has begun, and I know many of you are saying this is first world problem or a rich person's problem or a market that you don't even care to be in problem. But I think it's fun to just sit back and watch the frenzy and see how many people are actually willing to spend this ridiculous money to get their hands on a car. And I also think it's amazing to see the videos that have come out with the C8 ZR1 being used by everyday drivers. I mean, let's be real. We've seen a C8 ZR1 take on a Lamborghini Rebalto. And to be honest with you, that was a very interesting race. And I think there are going to be so many more to come. All the C8 ZR1 information you're looking for, expect it to keep rolling out. The only thing I can sit there and say is I wish more of the C8 ZR1 owners will actually put the cars out and use them for what they were built for, instead of just sitting back holding them as collector's items or, you know, cars they want to cruise around and just take to car shows. With that being said, for the people willing to spend that type of money, which version of the C8 ZR1 do you really want? I know some people have actually postponed their C8 ZR1 orders because they want the new 2026 refresh interior. And in my opinion, to each its own, I would take the C8 ZR1, the 2025 C8 ZR1 with the old interior, especially if this is a car you plan on keeping, because in my opinion, that's going to be the car that's going to be worth the most money. But I get it. A lot of people like the latest and greatest tech, and that's what they want. But either way, it's your decision. Enjoy your car. Enjoy your purchase. ICNV Driversedition. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driversedition community. Like I stated before, we're an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, just like this one, I may even make a video on it. But don't forget, we were all made in his image and given dominion over the world, which means we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, never ever give up, and embrace your own identity. It is okay to be unique. He's not done with you, and he's definitely not done with me. You were given everything that you need to accomplish your dreams, desires, and goals. Just remember to stay humble, stay focused, and stay blessed. And I'll see you in these streets. Peace.